Good evening, Master Tanaka. Good evening. Good evening to all. Good evening. I am Preto Velho, okay? Preto Velho comes here. We ask permission, okay? So you can have a little chat. Preto Velho always says that in all kinds of therapy, Preto Velho is always talking to you. But what is this conversation about? Preto Velho says that many times you're thinking that the conversation is only what you're hearing. But Preto Velho says no, because Preto Velho's conversation with you is inside of you. So what does that mean? That inside you, you have a desire, okay? So what happens? Preto Velho says, we always respect the free will of yours. So what happens? Our orientation follows respecting your free will, okay? But we are always working to help you understand what your free will is. So you can begin to allow yourself to exercise your free will. That's what Preto Velho says. Many times you say, Preto Velho, I have choices. So I'm choosing what I want in my life. And many times I'm choosing what I don't want in my life. And what you don't realize is that when you choose what you don't want in your life, you have already chosen. So what happens? In God's world, we always say that this factor that you say is negation. This factor, Preto Velho says, that it doesn't exist. Because in God's world, everything is acceptance. So when you say, I don't want this, but everything is acceptance. So Preto Velho says, start to understand this, so that you can understand how we are orienting you. Preto Velho always says that what you generate through interpretation, self-interpretation, is good. Then, what result this self-interpretation is generating in your life? Because the result that is manifesting is not what Preto Velho says. The result that is manifesting is what you say. Because we always put it like this. You, just like you received orientation now, you are energy in movement. So, what does this mean? Preto Velho says, you are always acting, So, what is this acting? This is what you have not yet realized. Why? Acting, we say, is an affirmation. But negation is an affirmation. Do you understand what Preto Velho is bringing here? So, what does this mean? You are action, and you are denying. So what happens? We say that inside you, you are generating a confrontation with yourself. So what is this? We say that you are at odds with yourself. So what do you say? You are talking to yourself, okay? Look, you are a being of free will, but you don't know. You don't know. You don't know what you do. You don't know what you think. You don't know what you feel. You don't know how you act. Do you observe? So what happens is, the spiritual world, like you say, the plane of light, it is a plane that is you, in a way that you can't act. A plane that is you. It is not outside of you. This plane of light is you. But what happens? When you begin to speak, these words gain an intensity, a force that you have no idea about, because you are all this force. So we say that inside you, you begin to create. But this creation, Preto Velho says, follows the orientation that you give it, because this creation is your energy. This creation is your strength, and all of you know, Preto Velho says, it is total strength. Let's put it this way. Why? Because all of you are God. So Preto Velho says, when you accept it, we'll say that you are God, okay? We're going to sort out those beliefs about what God is, Because when you are so rigid about what God is, then what happens? Preto Velho says that you start to compare. That's why you say these things. Because then you say, oh, God is this. You're not God. God is that. Then you say, ah, you are not. God, you. God, you. And you don't realize that everything is one thing. Because God is acceptance. So what do you begin to understand? Everything that you are saying to yourself, you know, as a negation, what we say, it is gaining strength. But then what happens? You have several concepts inside of you of what negativity is. And Preto Velho says, this doesn't exist, you know? So what happens? You always talk about positive energy, negative energy. Why? Because within an earthly plane, you have a concept of this. But you know, many times, the concept that you have the same electromagnetic field. For an earthly plane, it has interpretation, you know? But when Preto Velho talks about the electromagnetic field, we are talking about an energy. So let's talk about permission. That this permission manifests everything. So what do you understand? Let's release out these concepts a little bit. Because when you release these concepts, you also release yourself. So what happens? Everything that you are imposing on yourself is good, because you are demanding of yourself. So whatever you are imposing on yourself, what you start observing? Hey, if everything is me, then why am I imposing myself? When I simply accept what I am, then we speak, the whole truth manifests itself. Because within what we call acceptance, you know, it is not accepting what you say. You know, many times you are still tied to this. So when you are in a conversation, when you talk about acceptance, then what are you thinking? Well, that opinion doesn't agree with mine. Preto Velho is not talking about opinion, because opinion, as we say, opinion is not the truth. When we talk about acceptance, we say that when you are in this acceptance, you are already inside the truth. So you notice, there are several factors that many times you are saying to yourself, I need to correct this, I need to correct that, I need to correct, I need to correct. And many times, what are you doing? This is within that requirement. So what happens? That demand, you know, we say, it is the chain that you put on yourself. And you see, a lot of times you even put a padlock on it. But the key to the padlock is in your hand. So you understand that all you have to do is take the key and open the padlock and release the chain. This key is not with someone else. This key is not with the plan of the light. This key is not with that which many times you are still talking about God. This key is not with that which you say is the divine I am presence. Because this divine I am presence is already you. So what happens? We say that when you enter into a state of permission that you are manifesting, okay? You don't keep thinking about matters, okay? Manifesting for you. That permission that you are giving to yourself, Preto Velho says that it is the opening that you give to yourself. So what does this mean? That when you release several preconceived concepts of yourself, then these prejudices that you release from yourself are these chains, you know? So what happens? Then when we bring an orientation, because you receive orientation continuously, isn't it? Because today you received orientation, and this orientation, if you are attentive, you know, as Preto Velho says, is occurring continuously. Because the orientation that favors you is generated by you to yourself. Within this permission, not within the self-judgment, right? Not within this. Within the permission, within an acceptance. So what happens? Preto Velho says that naturally you are releasing out what you call dependency, you know? So when you are releasing these dependencies, you are, let's say, accepting. You are accepting, you are allowing. So what naturally occurs? The truth manifests itself because all of you are already this energy. So you know, as Preto Velho says, there is a small understanding that makes you allow yourself to experience, you know? Because many times what happens? When you get into a self-demand, Preto Velho says, what are you not allowing yourself? Experimenting. And we always say that incarnation is an experience. All of us are here to have experiences. So we say, when you start to understand this, okay, and understand that everything in your life is experience, you accept that everything is experience and that everything for you is bringing results because you determine the results. So what happens? We say that what you call hand gaps, that's good, that you maintain a constant in this consciousness. Then what you call hand gaps, what we say begins to dissipate. Why? Because you begin to act towards the self-satisfaction. You are acting to be always in the self-confidence. So what happens? Preto Velho says that when you are acting towards the self-confidence, naturally these tendencies dissipate. Because there's no way this can be maintained. Always remember that everything you often wish is good. You don't understand because inside you still don't understand the structure that you use to guide yourself. So what are we going to do? This process of self-knowledge always favors you because the process of self-knowledge brings all the conditions for you to recognize that you are everything, that you have all the possibilities, and that the possibility that you want to manifest is already there. Observe this, okay? All your desire is already manifesting because you can even say, Preto Velho, I'm still in this connection with time. But you know, Preto Velho says, energy is always now. So what happens? We say, you are always manifesting the now. You may not be aware of it, because many times this manifestation is within a repetition. But Preto Velho always says, okay, everything is manifesting now. So it is important that you understand this, accept this, and use this information that Preto Velho is bringing here to start taking care of yourself, okay? Does anybody want to ask Preto Velho a question? Nobody wants to ask any questions? Yeah, it's hard. Preto Velho knows, Master. A lot of times we bring information. This information we talk like this is bouncing around inside of you. But what Preto Velho says? Everything that you accept, we say this way, naturally, it manifests itself in the way you determine, okay? That's why Preto Velho will speak to you like this. Everything that you desire is already manifesting now. So Preto Velho thanks you. Thank you. Thank you very much.